Soft, softly hear from a whisper so near, slowly stirring sweet muses from night's fall. Round, round and around, suddenly soaring higher, higher, glistens on sweet
This is Pamela Kuhn, and the curtain is up on Center Stage, the show about the arts and the artists behind their work. It is an exciting year for the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences. In the Best Original Song category, The Underdog is standing out and turning heads. And why not? Because it is a beautifully composed aria with a hint of melodic pop song. The words are of hope and transcendence. The music was written by my guest today, Emmy Award-winning composer Nicholas Pike, a man who was trained in the classical arts early as a chorister in England, later living in South Africa, eventually turning his attention to America, rock and roll, jazz, and on to Hollywood and film music. From the touching documentary Viva Verdi, his beautiful aria, Sweet Dreams of Joy, is the song which helps us transcend our sense of wonder into a deeply personal language. For the Academy to have supported this particular choice for Best Original Song says one thing to me: they are rewarding the power of melody. And when the film is Viva Verdi, we are speaking about the highest professional caliber of musicians and Giuseppe Verdi himself. This is a tall challenge. Composer Nicholas Pike has answered it. Nicholas has worn many hats as a musician, from conducting the London Symphony Orchestra in his composition of Athol Fugard's play Master Harold and the Boys, to scoring Michael Jackson's Ghost and You Rock My World. His scores include Captain Ron, the television series of The Shining, and For the Love of Spock. He won the 2013 Outstanding Music and Sound Emmy for the HBO production in Tahrir. For Viva Verdi, Nicholas Pike has been the vessel for celebrating the legacy of communion amongst professional musicians, and Nicholas is one of them. Nicholas, welcome to Center Stage, and thank you for being my guest.
Thank you, Pamela, for that beautiful introduction. Who is this guy?
He's sitting right in front of me, and this is not our first rodeo, now is it?
No, it's not.
I've been part of the journey of the filmmaking team of Viva Verdi in promoting and helping you in moderating certain screenings. It's been wonderful to get to know you. I find that you have a sensitivity about you that I really appreciate as someone working in Hollywood.
Well, thanks. I'm glad I have something to offer.
I think you're still humble, is what I'm trying to say, and that is a beautiful thing.
Thank you.
So, we know about the Oscar nomination, but I want to talk about you, because I know this Oscar nomination has been a roller coaster ride for you. And to be thrust suddenly, into this limelight has led you into unbelievable number of interviews and promotions, and I'm sure you're exhausted. So let's talk about you, the guy.
Okay.
All right. So I believe you're actually from Warwickshire originally in England.
That is right. I was born in a place called Water Orton, which is part of Birmingham. But we only lived there for like 6 months, apparently. And then we moved. I think we went to Scotland after that for a couple of
Wow.
years. Yes. So, my father was with Lloyd Shipping. He was an engineer, and, they'd send him all over the place to troubleshoot problems with the organization and sort out issues. So we were in Scotland. Yeah, we were in Scotland for a while, and then we were in France. We were in the south of France for 5 years after that.
Nice.
Um, at that time, my mother sent me and my two brothers back to England to go to boarding school, and they went to a school that my uncle taught at, which they weren't too thrilled with. I went to Canterbury Choir School, which was, a different kettle of fish altogether, because, my mother thought I had some musical ability, because I guess I used to sing in the car, like, sing along with songs or whatever. So she thought, oh, I'm going to send him to a choir school. So yeah, that's how it all got started.
That's fantastic. So you went to this choir school in Canterbury, I believe, when you were 7. You auditioned.
7 years old, I auditioned. Yeah.
It must have been daunting for you, or maybe not.
I didn't really know what was going on. I just knew my mother. She picked this song for me to sing, All Things Bright and Beautiful. And yeah, and then, we went there and I sang the song and, we went home and the next thing I knew, I was going there, and the beauty of the place was beyond the singing, you had to learn two instruments, one of which had to be the piano. So I chose the flute. I don't know why, but I did.
Hmm.
And so I was there for 2 years till age 10 when we moved to South Africa.
Oh my gosh, were you disappointed about being, jerked out of the choir existence there?
No, not really. I
Okay.
think I felt like I'd had my fill there, honestly, in retrospect. And it was sort of exciting to be moving to South Africa. I remember my father made me write a letter back to the school, basically explaining what was going on, what we were doing, why we were going there, all that kind of
Mhm.
stuff, which I resisted doing because I thought, why do I need to do that?
I'm off to new horizons.
Exactly, exactly. Yeah,
I'm going to learn to surf in Durban.
yeah,
Um,
that's right.
I love it. But yet, I read somewhere that the flute stayed with you in such a way you were recalling, being in an orchestra playing the flute with the music of Ravel, and how that really showered over you with and had such influence.
Yes, yes. I mean, my mother, bless her, she made me practice 15 minutes a day at a time when I didn't want to be practicing. I
Right.
wanted to be outside, like you're saying, at the beach, surfing, doing anything but she made me do it. And for that, I'm thankful because when I turned about 13 years old, my older brother and I started a band, and it was a rock and roll
Ah,
band. And I sang in the band and played flute. We'd play like Elvis Presley, all different kinds of stuff. And all of a sudden, I was, my musical leanings were reignited, and I was really excited to be doing it. It was really fun, and
wow.
we'd play shows, we'd put on concerts, um, and uh, and in that same time period, I had been studying with this elderly lady who passed away, and so I didn't have a flute teacher for a while. And then this young principal flautist from Germany came out to the symphony orchestra to take over the principal job, and I started studying with him. His name was Konrad Huntela, and he's still around. I think he runs the woodwind department in Stuttgart or some university there. And so he sort of took me under his wing. He said, "Look, if you practice hard on your technique, I'm going to bring you into the symphony orchestra to sub for the second flautist, who's an elderly gentleman. He's sick a lot." And so I was about 15 when this started going on, and I just remember the first couple of times I was in the orchestra. It was the most extraordinary experience. Oh my God! For one thing, it was the loudest thing I had ever heard. Even after being in bands and all the rest of it, being in the middle of an orchestra, at the climax of Daphnis and Chloe was like,
Oh,
it was
yeah.
just
Uh-huh.
incredible. And so I always say that was that's how I learned orchestration
Okay.
is sitting in that orchestra and hearing it all around me and being in the rehearsals and just really getting to know the sections and the instruments and what they could do and what they couldn't do. It was a magnificent experience.
Oh, what a game changer.
It was. And while this was going on, this singer from the most famous rock and roll band in South Africa at the time lived in the same apartment complex as we did, and he heard me playing at one of these concerts that my brother and the band that we had, And he said, we want you to join our band. And I was like, wow, okay. I mean, this band was popular. We'd play a stadium, 30,000 people,
Wow, he
um,
was right.
and I was 15. So I had these two experiences,
Yeah.
complete opposite spectrum from each other, but they were both, really formative in really many ways.
Oh, without doubt. I cannot believe this. Wow. At such a young age. I mean, your
Hmm.
path was being carved out for you, really. I mean,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
big on that in this destiny thing. There were certain things calling you. I adore that.
yeah. Well, that's right. I mean, just to fill you in a little bit more,
Yeah.
everybody else in the band was way older than I was. They were in their 20s and 30s. The only other person who wasn't, well, there were two. The drummer, Anton Fig, he was the drummer on the Dave Letterman show for like 25 years. Um,
No.
yeah. And he was a few years older than I am. And then the singer, Amanda Blue, she's now called. She was a couple of years older than I am, and she was brought into the band at the same time. So it was yeah, it was
You were
kind
in
of
the company of greatness. I mean,
yeah,
all of these things are such an influence on one so young. That
yeah,
is fantastic.
yeah.
So after that, I mean, what were you kind of lining up for yourself? You didn't want to be a car mechanic. I mean, you really knew that music was going to be it, right?
I did, and living down there during the apartheid era
Mm,
when
mm,
nobody came there, you know, was wasn't the greatest for sure in many
wow.
many ways, obviously. Um, And what I worked with this, I was mentored again. This is another facet.
Mm,
I was mentored by a guy called Merton Barrow, incredible musician, incredible mentor, just so supportive and in every way. And he actually started a jazz school in Cape Town and ran it for 25 years.
okay.
He's now retired from that. Um, why was I telling you about Merton?
Again, just another facet of what was happening in South Africa.
Yeah, being who he was, he sort of introduced me to bands like Weather Report and this extraordinary improvisational jazz, modern jazz kind of things. And of
Mhm.
course, we would listen to it all. We'd listen to but we only had records to listen to.
Okay.
So it would be that. It would be all the jazz greats. It would be yeah, anything related to good music that was going on in the U.S. Um, and so my last couple of years in Cape Town, all I could think of was, I've got to get to the US, I've
Yeah.
got to, and so going to school here was seemed like the obvious choice. I went through the whole audition process to get into Berklee College of Music in Boston and left Cape Town when I was 17 because we've been going back and forth a lot. I was a couple of years ahead in high school. So I actually finished high school when I was 16. So I had a year to kick around before I could come to the US. And so that time was spent, just playing a lot of music and you're dreaming about being in the same country as, Marvin Gaye, Miles
Of
Davis,
course.
you name it. Um, and so yeah, so then I ended up in Boston, and that was in 1973.
1973. Was Boston the right place for you?
I think it was, at the
Hmm.
time there weren't a lot of options. I didn't necessarily want to go down the classical road because I played
Hmm.
in an orchestra and I sort of had a sense of what that was all about. And I thought that wasn't going to be it for me as much as I enjoyed it.
Right.
And I didn't know what it was going to be. I thought it was going to be as as a flute player, as a improv jazz flute player. Um, that's what I thought my career was going to
Oh,
be. Yeah.
very
Um,
interesting. Very
yeah.
interesting.
Yeah. So just yeah.
You know,
for the
something I talk about on this show a lot is this art of mentoring. And it's interesting when these mentors step in front of us, and I think somehow we're kind of manifesting it ourselves. When you're ready, the mentor shows up, and
Mhm.
I'm blown away by the influences you had at such a young age. But we've got to thank your mom for getting you into that choir school initially, really.
100%. And for like, keeping my nose to the grindstone.
Well, yeah, there's the discipline that's involved in
Yeah.
schooling like that, as you and I know. I
Yeah.
mean, it's extraordinary.
It's so easy to drop out of it. And I know a lot of people do. They say, "Oh, my mother made me play," and then, they didn't play anymore after a while, when they got to a certain
Exactly.
age. But yeah, luckily everything happened as you're saying, like when it was supposed to happen,
Hmm.
like she forced me to practice, but within a year or two, all of a sudden this band thing came up and things sort of took off from there.
So you could have been another Jethro Tull, but still, you decided to go another route. When
Yeah.
did you get the bug really for film composing, or was there too much jazz in between? You were kind of out experimenting with a whole lot of different genres.
Yeah, I got the bug basically when I was confronted with the crossroads of getting out of music because I couldn't make a living in New York.
Right, right.
Um, it was a time where, all the small record companies were closing up. It was just the wrong time,
Hmm.
just the wrong time to be doing what I was doing. And I did one album with some two great players, a guitarist by the name of Bill Connors. He
Mm.
was the original guitar player in Chick Corea's Return to Forever band,
Wow.
and this legendary Brazilian percussionist Nana Vasconcelos. Um, we did this album, and it's still up on iTunes, but it just apparently it wasn't the right thing. So I was confronted with, well, maybe it's time to get out of music and do something else. Uh, which I wasn't thrilled about, having
No.
spent my entire life working on music. Um,
So what was the
but
cathartic moment? What happened?
Okay, so I'm working as the lunch waiter in this Italian restaurant in the West Village, and who walks in but Athol Fugard? And I hadn't known him well from South Africa
South Africa, yeah.
because he would put on his plays in the same underground theater that I used to perform in a lot.
Oh my
And
God.
so we knew each other well. And he looked at me, he said, "What are you doing here?" What are you doing here? So he came in with Mel Gusso, who was the theater critic for the New York Times at the moment, and just a lovely gentleman. And so, we had this long chat. I'm trying to wait tables, and I keep going over to his table, and he said, "Well, let's get together. I want to tell you what's going on." And he was making a movie out of one of his plays, and he had some big hits on Broadway. And he said, "I want you to write the music for it."
Oh my
I
God.
was like, "Hmm, okay, that sounds kind of interesting."
Wow.
So, um, so I wrote some themes for it, and the producer, so it was Athol, and the producer was, oh my God, name's just gone out of my head. Blazing Saddles.
Oh, the Mel Brooks
Mel
production.
Brooks,
Yeah.
yes, Mel Brooks was producing. So the two of them could not agree on a director they both wanted to work with. Athol was like he was, when it was his material had to be exactly the
Right,
way he
right.
wanted. And so the whole thing fell apart. They ended up shooting it on
Oh,
stage and it going to cable without any music from me. But I had written some themes and I thought, well, maybe I'll make an orchestral suite out of it. And I have a friend with a studio. I'll bring friends in and overdub and sort of build it up that way. And right around that time, this guy I knew said, "Well, you can hire the London Symphony Orchestra for $3,000." I was like, "Well,
hey,
that's great, but I
that
have
works
like,
for me.
yeah, except for the fact that I have $20 in my bank account." So, but from working in this restaurant, I met a lot of people, and some of them were in different areas of the entertainment industry, and there were several who had they had their own companies, and they would do commercials or bits and pieces like that. So I thought, I'm going to demo up the piece on synthesizers and present it to them and say, look, if you front me $1,000, you can use the recording with the London Symphony Orchestra at Abbey Road on some project of yours down the road. So,
Uh-huh.
so these three companies, they all ponied up $1,000. And then this couple who were patrons of the arts who used to come in, they always used to ask me, so, what's going on? What are you doing? Blah, blah, blah.
Mm.
And I said, well,
Funny you should ask.
funny
Yeah.
you should ask. So they said, well, come over to the brownstone after you get off and let's talk about it. So they so the wife was the patron of the arts. The husband was a Wall Street guy.
Hmm.
So I'm thinking they're going to say, well, how much do you need? And here's a check. So she said, how much do you need? And he said, when can you pay it back?
Yeah. That's realistic. Yeah, sure.
Oh my goodness. So I was like, I didn't know what to say. I said 6 months. And I had no idea how I was going to do that, but he said, fine.
Oh my
Um,
God.
and actually, she happened to be the cousin of my first agent in LA. Yeah, I know. It's just crazy. So she said, "Look, if you ever go out to LA, let me know.
Oh
My
my God.
cousin's my cousin's an agent." And she didn't say what kind of an agent he was. So I just thought he was like, I don't know, like an actor's agent or
Yeah.
something like that.
Hmm.
So anyway, but let me backtrack. Let me go back to the London Symphony thing. So I got the money together, went over to London, recorded the London Symphony, conducted and recorded the London Symphony on my 30th birthday, which was magical. Um,
With your
and
music,
with
which
my piece. I mean, what with this like Nirvana,
heaven. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So I came back to New York and I thought, what, if I have to get out of music now, it's okay. I've
You
got
did it.
something,
Yeah.
I've got something to
Yeah.
show.
Hmm.
But as so often happens, I think when you kind of go out on a limb, take a chance,
Hmm.
whatever on yourself and that kind of thing, the phone started ringing and an old flute student of mine called me up and said, my friend Juno Homrich, she just scored John Borman's latest film. He needs somebody to orchestrate and conduct his new score. I was like, I'm in.
You're in.
And from that, I met, some people from Universal because they came to New York for the
Mhm.
recording session.
Mhm.
And then, one thing led to another after that. Yeah.
Nicholas, the dominoes were just in alignment and it was right there for you. This is extraordinary. But what happened to the agent? Yeah,
So they,
did you ever contact the agent?
yes. Well, I can't get my then girlfriend, now wife we've been together for 40 plus years.
Brilliant.
She, I came, I came out to see her because, she was an actress. She still is. And her father was a big TV director out here.
Mhm.
But I came out, I thought I got to go out to LA because she was out here for pilot season. I thought if I don't go out there, I may not see her again,
Yeah.
and I didn't want that to happen. So I came out to visit her and she took me, we went to some friends of hers for like a barbecue. And so, somebody was asking me, so, what are you doing out here? I said, well, I came out to visit Elizabeth, and he said, is that it? I said, well, actually, I've got a meeting with this agent tomorrow. He's some sort of agent. And the guy's like, well, who's that? I said, Stan Melander. He's like, well, he's like the biggest composer's agent in town. I was like, oh my God. I had no idea.
Okay.
Uh,
I just think from that first day you stepped into choir school, it was all just mapped out for you. This
Yeah,
is
it
an
sounds like it,
incredible
doesn't it?
story.
Yeah, no, it's amazing how all these little bits and pieces kind of, fell together.
And you think going to a barbecue in LA is never just a barbecue. Deals are
No.
made around the swimming pool, as you know. So for
Well,
him to
now I do. Yeah.
give you that news, that good news. Oh yeah, this is the
Yeah.
biggest stage.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So things started going well, eh?
Yeah, well, so I met so the next day I went in, I met to Stan Melander, and he was, look, I really enjoyed the piece that you sent, because I sent them a cassette of the recording. But he said, until you really get something, I can't do a lot for you. I
Hmm.
was like, oh, okay. So yeah, I wasn't thinking too much of it. I thought, I'm out here seeing Elizabeth. That's really all I care about at this point. Um, but then through the contacts that I'd made with the film in New York from this friend of mine, Juno Homrich, who worked with John Borman, um, they said, the director was producing this series called Alfred Hitchcock Presents. It was a
Oh yeah.
remake. It was a remake of
Hmm.
that series,
Hmm.
and so he had said to me, when you come out to LA, send me the tape. I want to hear it. When you come out to LA, give me a call and we'll have lunch. Does that sound familiar?
Well, we know what that means. One more domino is going to go down. Okay. Hmm.
So I thought, oh, I'll just call him when I get there, and he'll say, yeah, come in today or tomorrow. No, I call up, and his secretary says, well, he's unavailable. He's shooting downtown all week, and I was like, oh man, well,
Right.
what, whatever. So I'm staying with my later to be father-in-law, the director, and he said, "What's going on, kid?" I said, "Well, Swack, so I told him the whole saga." He says, "Give me the number." So you mean the yes? Give me the number. I give him the number. He dials. This is Swack. Where is he? Just like that. I was like, "Holy shit! Is it okay to talk to people like that?" So, his secretary said, "Oh, Mr. Swag, he's down at the corner of so and so and so and so downtown." Okay, good, thanks. Boom. He says, "Okay, kid, here you go. Take my car." And he had this gorgeous 1965 Cougar convertible. I was like, I don't want to screw up and like smash this thing up, you know.
I remember the Cougars. Oh, they were fantastic. Yep. Okay.
Yep, yep. And so I remember driving on the 101 through Hollywood, passing the Capitol Records building,
Right.
and it's 80 degrees, and I'm thinking, this
Heaven.
there's nothing wrong with this,
Yeah, yeah. I think all the stars were in alignment for you, Nicholas Pike. Wow. So you found him? You talked to
I
him?
I found him. I don't know if you want to hear all this. Is I get this
This is
endless.
really fascinating though. I mean, how it really works.
It's an endless saga. Well, so I get down there, and they're all having lunch, and I still feel like a fifth wheel going to the set because
Right.
there's nothing for me to do, and everybody's super busy, and I'm just getting in the way. So, so I kind of gingerly approach this whole group. There must be about 40 or 50 people having lunch outside, and I see him, and he sees me, and he's like, "Hey." So I go over and chat to him. He said, so we're chatting a little bit. He said, "You didn't bring that tape with you, did you?" I said, "Well, actually, I do have a copy with me." He says, "Let me have it." He takes it, goes off to his trailer, and I'm sitting around there. Everybody's gone back to work. I'm thinking, now what? And so I thought, well, maybe I'll just kind of walk around, see if I can catch his eye. Maybe he didn't like the music. I don't know. I don't know what's going on. So I walk around. They had like multiple sets, ready to shoot.
Sure.
And I see him in one, and he says, "Come here." So I go. He says, "Stuff's great. I want you to do an episode," and
Oh
walks
my
away.
God.
And it, like, he turns around, like, doesn't even turn around. He says, "Talk to Alan Barnett." I'm like, "Okay. I don't know who these people
Who's
are."
that?
Yeah.
I
Lordy.
cannot believe this, the way this has worked for you. One step after another.
Yeah, and Pamela, every step was a test, because everything, like, I was like
Mhm.
grew up in the British, batten down
Mm,
system, and
that's right.
you don't stick your neck out, you don't put
Right.
yourself forward, and like every step I had to like, okay, you got to do this now. You've got to, you got to go find this guy. You got to go talk to him. You got to find this Alan Barnett character, and
I love
uh,
this kind of story. Talk about resilience. My dear, you've been made of it. I love it. So you found Alan Barnett, you made that episode, and then things started to roll.
yeah, yeah. So I was still in New York, and I mean, getting the job that this first episode, this one episode was another whole long
I
saga,
can imagine. It's
for
never
6
easy. It's never a short kind of process, is it?
No, it's never, here I'm thinking, well, they'll just call me up and say, we want you to do this show on this date and blah, blah, blah. But
Mhm.
no, no, that doesn't work like that.
Oh my
But
gosh.
but eventually it all came together. And, I came out again from New York to record on what used to be the Mancini stage at Universal, which no longer exists.
Oh,
Now it's
wow.
offices, yeah. Um,
Wow.
and that was extraordinary. That was, I mean, to walk in there with the history and everything was magical. And when the contractor Sandy DeCrescent, who legendary
I know
Hollywood,
him. Yes, very
yeah,
well.
yes, so Sandy, so uh, she said, "I want to introduce you to some of your players," and I was like, "Oh, okay." And one of them was Bill Watrous, who was this, when you talk about trombone and jazz trombone, there
Yeah.
was nobody that above him. Um, and I was like, wow, Bill Watrous is on my session. It's like, oh, jeez. Uh, yeah, it was really something.
This and many others. I mean,
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
remember Leonard Bernstein talking about these session orchestras as being the best. I mean, they just are.
They are.
Um,
They are because they play everything, and they're the
they have no
very
time.
best.
It's
Yeah.
just got to happen. Yeah.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
So I'm almost afraid to ask this question. Was this the moment where you thought, well, maybe I can survive as a musician financially? I mean, did this give you the okay that you'd landed?
Well, I thought things are definitely looking up, and I
Okay.
went back to New York, and then I got a call. Who recommended me to this guy? He was an investment banker, and he had produced a film, this horror film called Graveyard Shift. And somebody had recommended me to him, and he needed a composer. So he called me up. He said, "Look, why don't you come to this? We're having a screening in Times Square at some theater. And, come and see what you think." So I thought, okay. So I go along and I watch this film, and I think this is just awful. There's nothing about it that could possibly interest me. I just want nothing to do with it. And
Right.
back then they used to pass out cards and ask questions, and you'd write answers to the questions on a card.
Hmm.
And I thought, I can't say anything positive, so I'm just gonna like just sneak out the door right now, which I did. And then
Oh no.
a couple of days passed, and the phone rings, and it's this guy Arnie, and he said, "So, what'd you think of the film?" And I was like, kind of stumbling. Well, yeah, 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 I was kind of like stumbling around. He said, "Well, I've got $20,000 for you." And I was like, $20,000? This was like 1985, 86. And I thought, hang on a second, this is a moment where you don't say, no, your film is garbage. I want nothing to do with it. You say, great, let's do it.
Hmm. Hmm.
And
Hmm. Hmm.
it enabled me to buy all this equipment that I needed, and
Hmm.
make the film. And I wrote a couple of songs for it, and had some singer friends come in. In fact, the one singer, Steve O'Geary, became the lead singer for Journey after Steve Perry left the band. He was with them for like 10 or 15 years.
All
But
these
these were guys,
connections.
yeah,
Wow.
these were other unemployed musicians that I knew in New York, basically. And
Oh my gosh.
yeah, and so I had about $10,000 left over, and I thought this is the time to move to LA.
Yeah.
You've got
Mm-hmm.
that show, you've got a movie under your belt. Stan Milan is going to be happy because he'll have something to, to sell
Mm-hmm.
you with.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I mean, as soon as I came out, I got some more jobs at Universal, sort of, in short order, and
Oh my gosh.
that was kind of how it all got started.
So, and there have been many film scores that have bettered the terrible movies. I mean, let's be fair. Let's really be honest about that one.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm I'm really, as the English would say, gobsmacked right now with your very serendipitous story. This is really inspiring, Nicholas. My gosh.
I want to say one word to you, Pamela, and that is desperation. At every step, it was like I was desperate. It was either this is going to work, or I'm going to be doing something else that I probably don't want to be doing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that was certainly the great motivator, I think.
And you were all wrapped up, of course, with your wife to be Elizabeth and her family, who were like royalty, of course. I mean,
Yeah.
you needed the pressure was on to keep that standard high. I mean, really. But
Yeah, yeah. Although, my late father-in-law, who was just the most fabulous guy, um, he was once a musician himself. He was a drummer in
okay,
his early years,
okay.
before he became a director. And so I think he had a soft spot for his daughter, hooking up with a musician, and that was a plus for sure, you know. Mm.
Okay, once again, I'm going to say the stars were in alignment, and you have been blessed like Perseus in Clash of the Titans. I'm telling you.
Life the swimmer's body, foil to waters calling.
So I've noticed that a lot of the work that you've done along the way, I mean, things like, of course, let's talk about Michael Jackson. I mean, there you are in there working with him. I'm sure that was a personal high.
That was extraordinary.
Mhm.
there's a lot to unpack with Michael for sure.
Sure.
Just fantastic stuff. This director I've done lot of stuff with Mick Garris, was hired to direct this music video, Ghost.
Hmm.
And so he called me. He said, "Hey, I'm doing this Michael Jackson video. I want you to score it." I was like, "I'm in." And so, you know, to cut a long story short, the music video got postponed a few months, and when it came back, um, onto the schedule again, Mick Garris, the director, was unavailable. He was off doing something else, and so Stan Winston, the visual
Oh my
special effects
God.
guy, took
Stan
over.
Winston?
Yes, I
Okay.
mean, and what a fantastic guy he is as well. So when Mick was offered, I was like, oh man, that probably means that I'm offered as well. Which was I was like not
Right.
I was really upset. So I thought, let me call Stan and just say, Stan, I'm Mick's composer, and you talked to me about scoring this, and I would love to do it still. So he said, well, send me some material to listen to. So I sent him over a CD of stuff, and literally the next morning at like 8 a.m., I was still asleep because I like to sleep in the morning. Uh, the phone rings. Hey, this is Stan. I love this stuff. Come on in, let's talk. So, so
Wow.
I go in. I mean, his facility was, I mean, every great monster you've ever seen. He had this. His meeting room was like the size of a basketball court, and all the way around the walls were all these great figures, all these great characters that he'd created.
Yeah. Yeah. That we know all too well. Yeah.
Yeah, Alien. I mean, you name it. They're
Yeah.
all there, and there's like spotlights on everything. I mean, you just walk into this place going, "Oh my God, this is like a legacy of all the monster movies from the last, whatever." And at the time, he was working on the Jurassic Park movie, which was in production.
Wow.
And he's like, Nick, come with me. I want to show you something. So we walk into this other part of the building, and we're on this raised platform, and all of a sudden, I'm like face to face with this T-Rex head that is like 6 feet long, and I'm like, wow, what's going on here? Oh, well, with this Jurassic Park, we're building all the animatronic stuff for that. And I'm like, holy mother, this is like off the scale.
Yeah. Yeah. How
So
exciting. I mean,
yeah,
this is the
well,
way Hollywood is. You get invited into the inner sanctum when you have these incredible moments. Oh,
exactly,
Nicholas, this is
exactly.
so
So,
you two work together.
so we hit it off, and he said, come in on Thursday. Michael's coming in, you guys should meet, and we'll show you what we've got, kind of thing. So Thursday I go in there, and I'm thinking, I'm going to be meeting Michael Jackson today. Oh my God! So I go in, and so they're in a room with the editor Marcus Manton, who I became good friends with afterwards. An English guy, lovely guy. So there's
Great.
just the four of us. There's Marcus, there's Stan, there's Michael, and there's me. So Marcus and I, there's four chairs, and the two front ones are like in front of the screen and all the editing stuff. So Marcus and I are in the front two seats, and Michael and Stan are sitting behind us. And so I thought I got to look. I got to look back. And I kind of turned my head, and Michael's like sitting there, just sort of looking at me, like sizing me up. I'm thinking,
Mm-hmm.
oh, geez.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're looking at the video, and there's a sequence where the whole first 10 minutes of this video is score, massive 90-piece orchestra, choir, and it culminates in this moment when Michael summons the ghosts out of the walls of this castle. And Stan says to me, I'm hearing a harpsichord or something coming out of the
Yeah.
the walls or something like that. I'm like, hmm. So the meeting's over. We're standing around outside. Michael comes over. He says, we chat a little bit. He says, well, what do you have in mind, for the score? And as I'm thinking, Michael, well, first of all, he said, what do you think, like a 40-piece orchestra? I said, Michael, I don't think you're going to be happy with anything less than a 90-piece orchestra.
Right.
And I'm thinking a choir as well.
Right.
Like, oh, wow. I got him really excited. So, we're chatting. So he said, "Well, what do you think of Stan's idea of the harpsichord coming out of the wall?" And I said, Michael, I'm hearing this gargantuan moment where the orchestra, the choir is just like boom, like it's such a huge Gothic moment.
Yeah, yeah.
Just yeah, that's exactly what I'm thinking too. I was like, oof, okay, good. We're on
You
the
made
same
it this far.
we're on the same page. So, the schedule was tight. They wanted this thing done in 3 weeks. So he said, look, what do you need from me? I said, Michael, I need you to come over a couple of days next week. Give me some time to get stuff going.
Mhm,
If you
mhm.
can come over to my studio, I can play you what I've got and, make note, tell me what you want to change and blah, blah, blah. He says, okay, great. So just call my assistant and make the times, make the dates kind of thing.
Okay.
Excuse me. So I did. And so the following week, um, Michael comes up the driveway. Well, this van, this nondescript plumber's type van comes up the driveway,
Ah.
and I was like, I wonder who that is. And then so I go down the steps to meet to see who it is and what they want, and the driver's there, and he's I'm Michael's driver. I said, oh, and so then Michael gets out of the van. The van has no windows, and so the door slides open and the interior is this phenomenal space. There's a huge kind of like armchair in there, and there's just it looks like something out of like the wardrobe thing. You open the door and you walk into a different magical world.
Yeah,
That's what it was
yeah,
like.
yeah.
On the outside, you would never have known anything, you know.
Oh my God.
So I said to the driver, I said, "Did you have trouble finding the place? Because people have trouble finding it up here." He says, "No, I was up here a few days ago looking around." I was like,
Oh my
"Whoa."
God in heaven. Of course. They had to scope you out, dear.
Yeah, exactly. Who the hell is this guy? So
Wow.
so Michael comes into the studio, and was sitting there, and like I'm trying to play him stuff, and all my brain is screaming, "I'm sitting here with Michael Jackson. I'm sitting here with Michael Jackson. I'm sitting here with Michael Jackson." And I like, I was like, this is what it was like. But then we started talking about music. I started playing him some stuff, and we were just like two musicians in the room. It was so beautiful. It
Wow.
was amazing. And all these crazy things happened. Like, Michael would snap his fingers, and it was like the most extraordinary finger snap you'd ever heard. It
Yeah,
was
yeah,
loud. It was like boom. And I was like, Michael, I'm gonna have to sample that at some point. He says,
yeah.
no, everybody wants to sample my finger snap.
Because we know that from all his music, there was always the finger snap, which
Exactly.
which we just imagine was amplified, right?
Right.
I mean,
Yep. Yep. Nope.
wow.
That's the way it sounded. Yeah.
So his musical instincts were fantastic. I mean, I can
Oh,
only imagine.
a total joy. I mean, well, I'll tell you. So the first day he comes out, I play him everything I've got, and he loved everything. And I was prepared for the worst because a director friend of mine had done his previous video, and I called him up and I said, "What's it going to be like working with Michael?" "Oh, it's going to be a nightmare. He's going to drive you crazy. He's going to call you in the middle of the night. He's going to change his mind every 5 minutes.
Okay.
So I suggest you get as much money as you can because you're going to earn it."
Yeah, yeah.
And I was like, "Oof, okay."
Oh
So I
my
was
gosh.
prepared for the worst. And here he is. He comes in and he loves everything. And I'm like, okay, well, now what? So I said, "Well, Michael, there's no point in you coming tomorrow because I won't really have anything new to show you." And he's like, "Oh, okay." And he leaves. He was here all day. We're hanging out. We have lunch, and there's so many other things to tell you
Oh,
about. And,
Nicholas.
and so the next day, I'm working away. I haven't showered. I'm like, frantically like trying, because there's a lot of music and there's not a lot of time. The phone rings. This is Michael's driver. We're 10 minutes away. I was like, oh shit. So literally, I run into the house. I slap on some deodorant, a clean shirt, some half decent pants, and Michael shows up, and I was like, "Oh, Michael, I wasn't really expecting you today. I don't really have much to show you.
Yeah.
Although now that you're here, I can show you this. There's a sequence where all these ghosts come out of the wall of this castle, and they do this incredible dance. This kind of
Mm-hmm.
march dance
Mm-hmm.
thing across the ceiling. And so I said, "Yeah, let me play what I've got here, And he said, "Oh, this is great, great." He said, "What do you think of us syncopating that bottom line?" So it was like boom, 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 kind of a thing. He said, "What if we went boom, 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 boom?" I was like, "That's great, yeah, I love that." So so we kind of worked away on that, and spent a lot of time hanging out all day and just shooting the breeze, honestly. And
Oh my God.
yeah, just to give you an idea, and I knew he was a vegetarian, so Elizabeth brought in all these vegetables and hummus and olives and stuff, and so he tastes the hummus. He says, "What's this?" I said, "That's hummus." He's like, "What's hummus?"
Oh my gosh.
I was like, "Oh, Michael, as a vegetarian, this is something
Yeah.
you won't be able to live without." And he said, "Well, what's in it?" I said, "Like chickpeas, tahini, lemon juice, olive oil, you know." He said, "Wow, it's so good." I said, "Yeah, I know." So,
This is
so,
incredible.
yeah, that gives you a taste of what the day was like. And so the next day, uh, a van comes up the driveway, and I'm like, "Oh no!" So, so I go down, and it wasn't Michael. It was a delivery service, and they brought this basket, like the biggest basket you've ever seen, piled so high. I mean, it was literally maybe 4 feet across, piled about 3 or 4 feet high with stuff. I mean, I still have the cushion over there. You want to see the cushion?
Sure.
There was a cushion in it. Let me get it.
Oh my gosh. This is from Michael.
Michael Jackson cushion right here. So that was one of the items that was in this huge basket. And it said there was a card, and it said, "Thank you, Nicholas and Elizabeth, for your beautiful hospitality. Love, Michael." I mean, that sums him up right there. He was just such a classy guy, just so
Nicholas,
thoughtful and wonderful.
set against everything we always heard from him as being so eccentric and yeah, things are
Yeah.
never easy in the pop world for any artist, but
No, and
wow,
under the spotlight, the way he was his entire life, it's difficult.
you bet it is.
Yeah.
What generosity.
Yeah.
And a fantastic musician. I don't think the king of pop, I don't think I have ever enjoyed a performer more than Michael Jackson. I mean, without reservation, and his dancing.
Yeah.
It was the total picture, wasn't it?
There was, and
Just,
he was, yeah. I mean, yes, he borrowed from some of the Fred Astaire, people like that, but
yeah,
he brought it into the current era and influenced it in his own way, and that's just the dancing part. I mean, that's not the music part. Um, and so yeah, he was just an extraordinary person.
I'm so happy for you. You had that experience, my God. And not once, but twice.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, top of my list for sure of all the things I've ever done was working with him, and the second time was a couple of years later, and I got the call, can you come down and meet Michael at the studio in Lantana? And so I go down there, and I thought, he's probably not going to remember me or much of anything that went on 2 or 3 years ago, whenever it was. And so I walk into the studio, and it's pitch black. I can't see anything.
Mm.
So I just sort of walk in the door and sort of back up against the wall and just sort of wait, for something to happen. And after a minute or two, I hear this voice. "Is that Nick Pike over there?" I was like, "Oh my God." He remembers.
Oh, wow. Of course he did,
Uh,
Nicholas.
yeah, and then so then we had another go around on that one, and it was equally satisfying and wonderful.
Ah, but I think more than that, he recognized the fantastic musicality that you possessed. Obviously, you guys were jiving. I mean, you were in sync, and
Yeah,
that speaks volumes about what you do, the quality of what you do, and your instincts.
Well,
I
thank
mean,
I mean,
this is
yeah, it was a tremendous honor to work with him. And, right before his death, I felt like, I was kind of getting wind of other stuff that he wanted to do that was going to be coming along. And I was like
really.
getting really excited about what that might be.
Oh,
Um,
Nicholas.
yeah, so that was really sad, and needless to say.
Oh, you must have really mourned. I mean, having that relationship with, okay, now I know how to travel in the van with no windows and in the interior of the Ritz. That's
That's
it.
right. That's it.
But when you're Michael Jackson, you've got to have that really. I mean,
You've
let's
got to,
face
yeah.
it.
Yeah. Yeah. You've got to come up to the door and just walk into the building, basically, wherever you are.
What a world you live in, Nicholas Pike. My gosh.
Well, I'm just out here in the middle of the trees and everything, and happy to be here,
And you're
honestly.
happy with his life that you've got. And
Yeah.
I mean, wow, I'm never going to get over this. This is the centerpiece of this interview right now. My gosh. Well, besides all the other great stories of the dominoes, but there you go. But you've had so much experience with Stephen King. I can't get over that either. You've written so much for Stephen King productions, television
Mhm.
series, I mean, and whatnot. And then Star Kid, there's your rock and roll background right there. I mean,
Mm.
wow. And what with fear.com? I
Yeah.
listened to a kind of suite from that soundtrack and I loved it.
Oh, did you? Oof, wow. You're
I
brave.
love But that kind of leads me to my next point about you. You have quite a reputation for getting really unusual sounds and using a lot of special effects, in your music. And I was watching this video of you. I think the what? No, not the
Oh, the
harp,
wheel
the
harp.
wheel harp. Yes,
Oh, hmm.
which is fascinating.
Yeah,
Kind
isn't
of
it?
like looking at Bernard Herrmann using the theremin, for special effect in The Day the Earth Stood Still. I
Yeah.
mean, you've got this, and it was really interesting, the
Yeah.
sounds.
Yeah, no, that's a really cool instrument. I mean, at the heart of it, I'm all about melody and
Yeah,
developing melodies. But, to support that melody, I mean, I love finding unusual sounds to play that melody or to represent it in some way. And there's no better place than horror films to do that,
that's
because
right.
yeah, because the palette is so huge musically.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Nicholas Pike, I have like 10 million questions. I have 10 pages of script,
Oh
and we're
no.
already running out of time. But
Oh.
I just need to know from you what do you think the center point of your career has been? What was the centerpiece? What gave you the most satisfaction? I mean, can you even answer that in the framework, of composition?
Yeah, it's a tough one, isn't it? I mean,
Hmm.
there's certainly the highlights, the Michael highlights,
Oh
the
yeah.
films, Captain Ron. I love that, what I did
Oh,
on that.
Captain Ron,
Yeah.
your melody for Captain Ron is just right on.
Oh, thanks, thanks. It was a real joy to do that. But most recently, this aria for Viva Verdi. I mean, that's a massive amount of satisfaction there. And since then I've written some others for various projects, and so that's sort of taking me down the road of wanting to write some operas. Um, but those are definitely some highlights there for sure. And
Oh,
the
without question.
yeah. If you told me back in New York before any of this started what was going to be going on, I would be like, "Oof, if that happened, I mean, what more could you ask for?
Think about that boy in the West Village waiting tables,
Yeah.
just waiting for, a connection. You got it.
Mhm.
Just tell me
Yeah.
this, how many of those people who played such a fantastic role in your life, who led you on to the next step, how many of those people do you still reach out to?
Funnily enough, the friend, my mentor in Cape Town, Merton Barrow, I've just been emailing with him because another composer friend is going to South Africa and wanted to hear certain types of music. And I thought, who better to hook him
Oh,
up than Merton? So I'm sort of connecting them. So he's one. The flute teacher in Germany, I've not been in touch with him. But I did look him up a few years ago, which is how I knew he was the head of this woodwind department. Um, so I should reach out to him too. I just
Or he'll be reaching out to you with this
Well,
Oscar nomination of Sweet
maybe you
Dreams
will.
of Joy. So proud. I
Yeah.
mean, really, what a life you've had. You seem to be coming full circle with another big crescendo in the arc of
Mm,
your,
mm,
composing life. And
mm,
I gather you're very happy with your career. You've been making money. You've been able to support a family. You've lived a certain level. I mean,
yeah,
it's difficult in Hollywood, the ups and downs. But look at you now, the
it's really
Oscar
difficult.
nomination for Best Original Song.
Yeah, yeah.
This Sweet Dreams of Joy to me as a singer, Nicholas, is what I'd call a luxury.
Mm,
I think that you have definitely and very honestly and authentically personified the flavor of the film. I know in our past interviews you've talked about, seeing a teaser of the film and then just being so inspired to run to the piano and you knew what to do. I see you now as that potential operatic composer because your focus on melody and the riches of orchestration are so wonderful.
thanks, Pamela.
But they are.
Appreciate that.
But they are.
Well, thanks. Well, in terms of the opera ideas, I don't know if I told you this before, but the young lady, young soprano who sang the original demo for Sweet Dreams of Joy is now this international soprano, Liv Redpath. And I saw her in New York a couple of years ago, and she was at the Met.
Yeah.
And so I happened to be there, so we got together for coffee, and so I was like, "Ooh, how is it being at the Met? Must be amazing, must be fantastic." Oh, maybe I shouldn't be telling all this. I don't, yeah. I won't be getting a call from the Met, maybe. I don't know.
And what
No,
she said it's just an ordinary job. I mean,
no, no, no. She didn't. She said that they were, I think they were disappointed with, um, the houses weren't full, and she was like,
oh
she
yeah,
couldn't believe it as well. It's like,
yeah,
what's going on?
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
and so
These are
because
tough times. Yeah,
yeah, it's tough times, and yeah, I'm sure this is no secret to anybody in the opera world.
that's correct.
Um, and so because what I was going to do, I was going to, I wanted to do an EP of some songs, some aria songs of mine, and so I was sort of asking her about that at the time, and all of a sudden I thought, wait a minute, maybe I need to think bigger picture here. Maybe I need to be thinking about writing an opera or two that can help bring in the under 40 audience and
Mm-hmm.
patrons,
Mm-hmm.
to help support the existing patrons and to keep the continuum going, and so that sort of got me thinking, and so I basically have sort of two ideas I'm really excited about,
Hmm.
and one of which I think would please the traditional audience in that there will be music and melody and memorable themes to hear and remember, long after you've seen the show,
Right.
but it would also have some modern elements that will appeal to a younger audience.
Fantastic.
And the storyline and the characters are modern day people. They're not, these sort of historical
Yeah,
characters.
caricatures.
It's,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's modern day,
Mm-hmm.
but it's not going to be, atonal music of any kind. It's going to
Right.
be,
Melodic.
as, yeah, as melodic,
Romantic.
as beautiful as I can make it, with
Mm-hmm.
other types of things going on. I don't want to say too much because,
Of
um,
course. Don't give it away.
yeah, and then the other side of that, the other opera idea is based on the director of Fear.com, Bill Malone. We did a film a few years ago, and when I was starting to think about opera, I was thinking, wow, this would be an amazing opera because the music would be the music, and the visuals. It's about a girl who suffers from parasomnia, which is uh, something where you're asleep most of the time and then you wake up for certain things. And there's this really bad guy serial killer who happens to be in the same hospital at the same time, all trussed up, um, who was a hypnotist, like super powerful hypnotist, and he's controlling her. This young guy comes in, sees the girl, falls in love, whisks her away from that hospital, and it's basically what happens after that. And it's a wonderful. It's like a thriller, but full of romance and
Yeah, yeah.
it's beautiful. It could be beautiful. I mean, the scenery, the visuals will be stunning. So yeah, that's the other one
I
that
love that right off the bat, okay? And also, if I could be so bold, I think you should just be looking into opera as film because to get that kind of lusciousness you're talking about
Mm,
and to have control over the production, I think opera as film, not just an opera that's being filmed on stage, if you know what
mhm,
I mean,
mm,
is going to be the next step. I do. I mean, that, and I find that very exciting. It's like a musical on steroids, and then the
yeah,
control of the scenes and the artistic possibilities are
yeah,
profound.
yeah.
And
It's a
I
really
know
that,
several people doing this right now, and it's very exciting to me. And also, it makes opera as more of theater, and
yes, yeah.
but still having the presence on the voice. And you're a pro, at orchestration. So there you
Well,
go.
they're so closely related
Mhm.
as entertainment,
Mhm.
and so I feel very at home with the idea of it all, So I it's exciting.
Let's do it. Like
All right.
Mickey Rooney said, hey, let's make a musical. I mean, make your opera. You, the guy, waiting tables in the West Village, you can do anything. You can get funding for anything. I'm convinced now. So, okay,
Well,
go forth,
thanks, Pamela.
find that angel, because I think it's actually a rather exciting new territory. And I just went to an opera, a chamber opera in London, and
Mm,
they've just made it into a film. They went on location, made it into a film. It's going to be riveting.
mm,
And yeah, I think that's how we're going to do it because everybody wants to sit in their living room and stream.
yeah.
And you're right. The Met is having problems. Some regional opera houses are not, interestingly enough.
Oh, mm,
And Europe is still rich with opera. So
right.
anyway,
Yeah.
any way you look at it, Nicholas, now you have this best original song under your belt. It must be a wonderful feeling. Oh my God, I can't even imagine.
It's really exciting that this type of music is getting the recognition, it's
Yes.
really exciting.
Yes.
And I mean, just to change course slightly, everybody's concerned about the AI
Yeah.
influence and all that kind of thing.
Yes.
But I
Yes.
do I do think that one effect of AI is going to be a growth for all live performance because people love to be in a room and be entertained by other people. And so it seems to me that the more AI takes over stuff, the more people want to get into that room
We'll
and be
get back.
entertained. Yeah,
Oh,
and be
interesting.
entertained by
Interesting. You
people.
think there might be kind of a kickback into the live situation, perhaps smaller, as opera houses are finding it's harder to meet the costs of running a big house.
Mm, mm,
I mean, for instance, the Met, this last year invited Harry Connick to come in and have 7 nights, of
mhm,
performing.
mhm.
And
Right,
I've known of several other people, popular artists, they're trying to bring in just to keep the house alive.
right, right.
It's an interesting time. We need to look at all those things and look at the indicator of where it's going.
Yeah,
But hey, I'm
sure.
going to leave that to you because you are good and you've been shown on by this wonderful light. Everything's going to happen for you, Nicholas. That's for
Thank-
sure.
Thanks, Pamela. I'll do what I can.
Please tell me you have plenty of pictures of you and Michael Jackson working together.
I do. I had a friend of my father-in-law's was a photographer, and just on the spur of the moment, I called her up. I said, "Hey, would you mind coming down and taking some photographs at
Oh
this
my gosh.
session with Michael Jackson?"
Oh my gosh.
So she did, yeah, and thank goodness I did that.
Wow. What a life you've had. What a life you've had. Is there anything else you want to conquer now?
I don't know. At this moment, you know, the opera idea is really exciting to me,
Yeah,
and
it is.
it's in the sort of forefront of my head, and I I hope I can I can make that work somehow. And you know, it's exciting for many reasons. It's not just the music, not just you know, it's exciting to think that, you know, maybe, I mean, I probably sound full of myself right now, but maybe I can be of some help in terms of, you know, just expose,
Helping the genre.
helping, yeah, helping the genre, helping
Hmm. Hmm.
expose some new, you know, new lovers who don't know that they are lovers yet, you know, that kind of thing.
I'm all for it. For years on my show, Center Stage, I've been saying that the new classical music is the art of film scoring.
Hmm.
I think Eric Korngold would have agreed with me a long time ago, and so
Mm,
would Max Steiner, you
mm.
know,
Yeah, I would
and
hope so.
Bernard Herrmann.
Yeah.
And I love it when I'm circulating with my friends and someone else. Oh yeah, my mom used to play for Bernard Herrmann in the orchestra, and I'm thinking, if only
Wow.
I've been there. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, and he talks about how music was the connection, the real tissue
Yeah.
between what was going on visually and with the music. And we need to go there.
Yeah. Yeah.
We
No,
need to develop.
yeah. It's because it's so powerful, so influential. I mean, I still remember, and I always remembered when we were living in France, you know, my mother took us to see a couple of a few films, um, and you know, they probably weren't age appropriate, you know, when I think back on it, but one of them was Lawrence of Arabia, and that
Oh
score,
yeah.
it still stays with me as being so magnificent, you know. Um, even while I was doing the whole jazz thing and all that kind of stuff, you know, if I thought about that film and that score, I was like, yeah, that's some good music right there.
That was Jarre, wasn't it?
Yeah,
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 and he had that kind of jazz element oftentimes in what he wrote. But for Lawrence of Arabia, it was so huge, just like David Lean's scenes. It was,
yeah,
that
yeah,
that's memorable because again, it has melody, and we walk away with it, and the texture and the lusciousness, and wow, look at all the things that have influenced you along the way.
yeah. I mean
Thank you.
what a magnificent theme, and his mastery of harmony and orchestration was so deep and you know, fantastic. You know.
But you have the same thing. You do.
Mhm.
You orchestrate like Dvorak, and it's complex and it's big, and like you introduced to Michael Jackson. I mean,
Mhm.
I love it. Oh
Oh, thank
God, all the best to you for a long career past this, and take us into a new world, Nicholas. And you already have with Sweet Dreams of Joy, and sung so beautifully by Anna Maria Martinez. I've interviewed her. She was an absolute delight.
you.
One thing I take away from her interview is she says that we as musicians, we have a responsibility to really be servants and do our art.
Mhm.
And I know you're going to live up to that. So that makes me very, very happy. Wow.
I'll do my best, Pamela.
Okay. Well, wow. This has been amazing, this conversation. I hope we'll do it again. And I hope you'll walk towards that Academy Awards holding your head high and just living every single moment out of it, no matter what happens. I'm feeling good because this is a hell of a song you've written, and it is a luxury, and it's divine. It sums up so much about what's right in Hollywood.
Mm.
And, it harkens back to the times of Henry Mancini and the great, great big melodies. So bravo to you.
Mm.
Listen,
Thank
before you go, just for fun,
you.
you've got a chance to go out to dinner with someone who's passed from this earth. Who would you invite? And it can be a roundtable, discussion. It can be more than one person. But
Mm.
who would you want to sit with who's left this earth for one evening that you could speak with?
You know, the first person who comes to mind is Maurice Ravel. I think he
I,
would
uh,
be
I had
number
this
one on the
feeling
list.
you were going to say that.
Mm. Mm.
Wow. There you've got the riches and orchestration. Oh, the dreamlike beauty of Daphnis and Chloe
Mm.
that you experienced as a child, and jazz.
Well,
And jazz.
just the idea of sitting down to dinner with him gives me goosebumps, Pamela.
Oh,
It's taking me
I
a minute to
love
recover here.
it. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Go forth, be that voice of Ravel for us, okay?
Thanks, I'll try.
And I just have one more question for you. If I, as this meager little older person singer, could ask you, first of all, I'd love to sing your song, Sweet Dreams of Joy. And secondly, I would love it if you wrote a song for me. And I'm still singing. So
Okay.
anyway, just something I'm going to leave you with.
All right. No, no, I'm glad you put that in my head. That's a good thing to know.
Because I know you get this inspiring moment and you'll go right to the piano and put something down, and that's fantastic. Nicholas Pike, thank you. And all the best for the Oscars. No matter what happens, you are the biggest winner in the world. And as I said, you've been the vessel for the conjugation of all these professional musicians in Viva Verdi, which is so beautiful. And you've worn that so authentically and so true. So
Well,
thank you. Thank you again.
thank you, Pamela. Thank you so much for having me on. And I mean, it's been a pleasure, and it's been so great having you moderating these Q&As for us, to have somebody who knows what they're talking about
Does make a
asking
difference.
questions. Yeah, well, it makes a huge difference. Yeah.
It does make a difference. Thank God. But it's been a great adventure for me with my love of film. So thank you. And everyone out there listening, I want you to go to nicholaspike.net. And of course, everywhere on the internet is alive with Nicholas Pike, the composer, right now, and discover some of his film scores, discover his work with Michael Jackson, discover everything that's out there, because it's an exciting world in the work of this wonderful man. Nicholas, thank you for traversing from Canterbury Choir School through South Africa, through, Berkeley, to us now. And we will cherish your stories and come back and be with me again on center stage with Pamela Kuhn, I hope.
Anytime.
Okay. And everyone out there, please go to Pamela Kuhn Official on all the social media sites. And of course, my website, Center Stage with Pamela Kuhn, for more shows like this. As we walk forward and we support the arts and we keep the thrill of music alive. Thank you again, Nicholas. To all my listeners, stay safe out there. This is Pamela Kuhn, and the curtain is now down on Center Stage.